very interesting story. Many of us have heard about OP Group doing a lot of things on this scaled agile and agile side. So we'll gonna hear from one of the key people around the whole chain. So please let me warmly welcome Jukka Parkkinen.
Okay, hello everyone. I can see that there are a couple of witnesses who have been going this journey with me. But anyway, so I'm going to tell about how I see that what has happened inside OP during the 10 years that I have been working there. So the agile journey is much longer than the Enterprise Agile, what is now promoted very much, but it's really over 10 years long journey. If we think about the group itself, I would say that it's quite agile, since we have kind of autonomous banks and then the central cooperative. So we don't have kind of a hierarchical structure here in the big organization either. The cooperation is huge, so we have over 12,000 employees, and we are serving over 2 million customers, and then there are partners and subcontractors, maybe something like 5,000 of those. So it has been a big change. It has been very hard work to make change in this kind of a big organization. Let's go to the first phase, which happened over 10 years ago. It was small teams that started to think about Scrum and other agile methodologies, and there was kind of a team that was assigned to make kind of specifications of the agile, how the agile work is done inside OP. So the funny thing is that it was kind of a waterfall program or project that was defining how to be agile. So these specifications then were just stored in the SharePoint, and I think that no one had seen those after that. But anyway, some teams started to utilize the methodology, and so that maybe was the starting point for this all thing. Then when Nokia was closing the mobile phones business, there was lots of people free in Oulu area, and so OP decided to establish a development center in Oulu, and the idea was to make that center agile and really very low level organization. So not too many managers, but teams that really are able to work autonomously and make the decisions about their work. And I think that the 600 kilometers between Helsinki and Oulu was maybe the biggest point here. So I think that if that team had been here in Helsinki, it would have been assimilated in a couple of months. But since we were there 600 kilometers away, we could create our own culture and way of working. We started to really make OP Mobile in the agile way, some other op.fi services in the agile way, and the big thing is as well that we started to work in the DevOps methodology with the mobile services. So I think this site has been playing a really big role in the whole journey how OP has become agile enterprise. Of course, you have to have results. 2016, when the OP Mobile was going, or the user amount of the OP Mobile was going over the amount of the op.fi. The amount of users in the op.fi did not drop as dramatically, but you can see that the usage of the digital services was growing really fast, and I think that the methodology how the OP Mobile was really done was playing a big part here, that it was so successful story. And now we have more than 1.3 million users, and we have 42 million logins every month. So it has been really growing well. And then one very big or important project was Pivo. I don't know if you know what is Pivo, but there was a kind of a fear that the big players will take over on the mobile payment area, and there was no solution at all. That how could OP react to that? So they just pushed that problem to our development teams, that please solve the problem. We don't have any kind of idea what to do. And before that, all the projects that they were kind of defined very well, specified very well, and then implemented. But this was really the first one, so that here is the problem, solve it. And that was a really good project as well, and it has been winning many awards, and the approach for the whole development was very customer centric, and so people were really going around Oulu and asking from people that what is your problem in the payment area, and in fact the payment was not the problem. The problem was that the people were not aware about if they can afford to buy some things. So that was the problem, what was solved then, and we don't have the payment at all in the first versions of Pivo, but they came later then. And then the second phase, so the whole IT started to think about transformation to Agile. And so the reason for that was that there was really much investments in the startups in the financial sector, and we saw that we have to do something so that we can keep the pace and we can really be in the business, and so what is the solution? And so the Agile, so that we could react to the markets, and we could be quicker on responding what is happening. So we took SAFE, and I think quite many big companies go into the SAFE model. There were some problems in the implementation what we made in that area, and so first of all, we didn't really understand the Agile principles in the big scale, and the SAFE it's very well defined, and when we have a company which is really used to fulfill the specifications, so we started to fulfill the SAFE specifications. So it was like a map of the organization. So let's just put the people into the map, and then we are Agile. But it doesn't work like that. So and there were really big problems around it as well. So the business side was not in Agile, and our partners were, and all the agreements with the partners were based on old specifications like ITIL and so on. So it just didn't work. Of course, there were some teams that made quite great work there as well, but in the big picture, it just didn't work. And then the third phase, which is the phase that we are living at the moment. So the whole corporation is going to the Enterprise Agile model. That was as well done, so that there was very long period of specification in the beginning, but I think that was quite important in this case that because we changed the whole organization, the whole structure, and we as well have been trying to get the autonomous banks into this agile methodology and way of working. So we needed a period of just thinking about how to do that. So the reasons that or the facts that why we did go to this way was that the people in OP were really challenging the traditional way of working. The cost and the speed were not satisfactory. So every program was taking maybe years, and they were huge always. And you all know that when you are doing huge programs with waterfall methodology, then you never know what you get in the end. But they were not really successful. And then people felt as well that the old organization was very hierarchical and bureaucratic, so it was really slow to get guidance or decisions or anything like that. And so of course it meant that people were not happy about working in OP either. Then there were these good results of the internal development that had been done mainly in Oulu, but of course some teams in Helsinki as well. But the results, all the awards, or the success in the business area, and all those things were and one of the most important things was kind of the culture and how people felt about working in these agile teams. So people were happier and they made better results through that. And then there were really good results from bigger banks in Europe. So our leadership was traveling around and discussing with the big banks who had been doing this transformation a couple of years before us, and those results were very good. So of course those were kind of giving boost for the change as well. And what we were then selecting for the model, I think that this is closest to the Spotify model. It's not exactly that, but the idea is quite the same. And I think the good thing in this was that it was not specified too well. So people really had to think about what to do, how to work, and how are we agile. And then if you think about the change, so the visible things like all the norms and behaviors and artifacts, having these dailies, having these plannings, having the demos, that is the easy part. It's just start to do it. So and for that, of course, you need some kind of model how to work. But anyway, this doesn't really require a change, but it's the starting point. And then the things that are harder, the personal values and attitudes. So I've been saying that all the leaders in my age have been praised for wrong reasons. So they have had good control of everything, and they have had good plans of everything, and they have been kind of pushing the organizations to keep the timescales and stuff like that. But that's all wrong, and you should kind of let it go and give the freedom to the people to decide how to proceed, what to do, and that has been really hard for the leaders in at least in our company, but I think that might be a universal thing. And then the cultural values, assumptions. I've been thinking about OP. When I started 10 years ago, we were in the old building. We had different leaders that we have today. I think that most of the people who are working in OP have changed during this time. We have got really much new ideas, new people who have been working in agile companies. They have been coming in, but still, and we have changed the building. The old building has been ripped off, and we have now really huge and very beautiful new place to work. So we had changed almost everything, but the culture. I don't know where it hides. If someone knows, please tell me. But it's really. I think that it's the same story that is about the monkeys in the cage, and they have the bananas on top of the cage, and every time when some monkey goes and tries to get the banana from the top of the cage, there will be cold water spread on all the monkeys. And that happens, and the monkeys learn that they are not allowed to do that. And then you start to change the monkeys, and they are all the time kind of behaving like that, so that they are not touching the bananas. In the end, you have changed all the monkeys, and they are still not touching the bananas, but they don't know why. So I think that is quite much the same in the change in the culture as well. So, but anyway, we have been going forward as well, very well. The leadership culture, we really work hard to change that, and I think that it's slowly starting to change as well. And of course, we have to take a look on the roles as well, so that the roles are kind of not defined, so that they are controlling and doing the old stuff. But it's hard work, but it's going forward. Then the objectives, how to work, what to work on. I think those are one of the most important things. How you are setting the targets. We are utilizing objectives, key results, or we are learning those at the moment, and I think that is really a good way to set a good objective and to let the people then to decide what are the key results. They are kind of how they are contributing to the objectives, and then we are using the quarterly business review, so that we are taking a look on those key results every 3 months. That's a very good way to work. Then the traditional leadership in a financial institute, the products have been like bank accounts, cards, loans, and stuff like that. But that is slowly now changing, so that our digital services are the products that we have to lead, and that's a totally different work. And so it has been so in OP at least that internet and mobile and those, they have been kind of a channels which are used to push the kind of the services or all the financial products, so like the cards and accounts and loans and stuff to the users, so that the user can then select that what they are going to use from there. But now we are starting to think the services as a products which are getting requirements from the old product area. But making it the change, you always have to have some kind of proof that the change is right, and proving that, for example, DevOps or some automation or some changes in the way of working are really contributing to business. That's really important since otherwise they are just assumptions and you just hope that it's happening like that. But when you have good metrics, it's really easy to show the business people that this is really the way how you should go with these things. We have started to measure quite a lot our development area. So we are using these DORA-metrics, which are indicating the performance. These are kind of global metrics, and Google is always representing the values. What of those metrics should be? What is the good team and what is not the good team? So deployment frequency, it indicates that you are able to release in the very fast cycle, and as of course that is affecting on the ability to react to the market changes. And lead time is the other one. So when you figure out something that okay, we need this kind of change in our product, then the lead time measures that how long time it takes that is then in the production, and it's for the users. And then time to restore the service. So if there is some incident, how much time does it make to correct the incident and open the service again? So it's about the quality. And then change failure rate is as well about the quality. And here we have kind of examples of a couple of teams, how they are performing with these measures. So these worms which are here, higher it is, there is more software, more feature, and longer in this way, it means that it has been going more time on implementing those. And when we take a look on the waterfall program, how that is going, so very long period of development and then massive release, and you can see that when there is this amount of new features, new technologies coming out, it's a big risk. And of course, this time is lost when you think about gathering the information about the users and the markets. So and when you take a look on the team levels on the DORA-metrics, it's screaming red. So it's not looking very good. And then this is an elite team, how it looks. Of course, these we have still some figures which are not very well, but when you take a look on this graph here, so there are small releases all the time, and so some might take makes a couple of months there, but basically releases every week. So it means that we can start to test the market, and the risk of failure in the technical way is smaller. So these kind of figures are that those that towards we want to go. This is how an agile team really looks like. Then what we have accomplished so far. The cooperation between business and development is better. So we are really talking about what to do and how to do, and we are driving the new methodologies, automation stuff and stuff like that. It's better. The bureaucracy is reduced, so there is really the teams can decide what to do and how to fulfill the requirements and targets. The reaction time, as you saw from the previous picture, it has been better. And what is as well quite nice, the cost of our IT is now trending down. So it means that the business will for sure be better. And this is the final slide. So we have the decision point about how you are leading the development is it's really dictating that what is the product. So if this decision point goes to the technology, it means that we are building new technologies and trying to figure out how to use those, make use cases for the technologies. And those are usually not very good. Then if the decision point goes to business, it means that then the new business features, they are kind of rolling over everything. You cannot improve the technologies, you cannot improve the automation and stuff like that. And it might be even so that the user is forgotten somehow in this way. And then if the decision point goes to the users, it might be business-wise not so good product, technically very hard to implement, but the users love it. So the decision point has to be here in the middle, and that really creates good product development for the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jukka. It was very interesting. I would have many questions, but let's take from there still. Are there anyone from the audience who wants to ask something? There's at least one.
Thank you. Very nice presentation. Thank you. I was wondering, OP-based the decision to change their ways of working and introducing more and more agile based on the metrics that they collected.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to get to the point that you were able to collect those metrics?
Yeah, it was a project that took maybe something like 2 years. So first of all, to make the data available and make the quality of the data sustainable for this kind of metrics. And we were lucky to have kind of a permission to do that. So our leaders were very tolerating with us. So that first of all we just did things and we tried to tell them that okay, you will see the results, and they believed us. And so after a couple of years, now we have good measures on place, and we can really well follow that how the things are going.
Yes, just quickly a sub-question. Did you develop your own metrics, or did you use the industry standards?
No, we are utilizing these DORA-metrics that are really global metrics in this area. Of course, we have ideas about our own metrics in the future. So we are thinking about starting to measure the cost of the release. So if you think about what are the parameters that are affecting on the cost of the release, you can see that you can optimize it from many different ways and angles. So that is our next goal.
Jukka, there's actually a question on the line related to the DORA-metrics. So
okay.
If you don't mind, I'll just read it out loud and you can continue from there. How did you start measuring the DORA-metrics? And the comment is, we are doing something similar and it's taken a while to build all these metrics.
Yeah, that's true. So we are taking the data out of Jira. So all our work is there in Jira, and people are the very important thing is to use the Jira in the right way, make the right things in the right time there, and that kind of creates the data for the measures, and then the rest is quite easy.
Okay. There is another unrelated question online, but let me see if there are other questions in the room.
One and
okay.
take that one still.
So, I'm reading this verbatim. Autonomous teams are established, but I observed in almost every team there are 1 or 2 members who are behaving more responsibly and others are a bit casual in their approach. Any suggestions in this regard?
Yeah. So of course, There are different people, but I think that I'm not doing anything for that like myself, but I think that the teams understand that what are the requirements, what are we waiting from the teams, and if the teams are kind of seeing that there is someone who is not doing his work properly or something like that, they are kind of raising the flag themselves and of course trying to solve the problem by themselves first. But if it doesn't work, then they have to come to me, for example, and then we have to discuss and go further with that. But the team itself kind of controls that they are really all performing well.
All right, let's give up once more big hand for Jukka. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.